everybody. Welcome back. I'm very excited finally to have the wonderful Dr. Marlene Bizub with us. Marlene, thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Marlene, I will have done an intro of leading into this, but Marlene and I get to work together on some of these really hard cases. And you can see in the back if you're watching on video, and I will put in my show notes the resource that she's got a book, Contentious Custody, and she has a podcast. What's your podcast, Marlene? What's it called?
The High Road.
The High Road. I love that, right? The High Road. So we'll put links to those so people can go find those. And I really
Uh,
love also that you've got the quote behind you that says, love your children more than you hate your ex. That's beautiful and so important. So today I am excited to talk with you. I mean, we could talk about a million different topics here. But given the time of year, I am excited that Dr. Bizub agreed to come in and talk about holidays and how do we co-parent? How are we going to do holidays well? It's December when we're recording this, and we are leading straight into a lot of important holidays for many, many families. So tell me a little, Marlene, maybe give just a slight introduction about yourself. I'll put your credentials in when I do your introduction, but tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we can just dive into why the holidays can feel kind of extra-ish.
yes. Well, I have worked in the courts for 29 years. And I hate to say that because that tells you a little bit about how old I am. But it's challenging but rewarding work. And it's just become my life passion to work with parents going through divorce.
Let's talk about the importance of, I think one thing that can really, really help here is to talk about how you should plan ahead. And you talked about that a little bit, but practically, it seems like a lot of holiday problems, in the co-parenting dynamics come from unclear expectations, last minute scrambling.
Mhm.
And I think that it can include whether or not, for example, kids are going to be able to see extended families, right? This is where we all of a sudden have the problem of, I don't want the kids to see your mother anymore, right? And these sorts of things, right? Because we now have got a
Yeah.
bunch of extra family dynamics layered on, which we all know is stressful, even in intact families, right? Um,
Yes.
so what are some realistic ways that you've helped parents or that you think parents should, think about planning ahead um, in a way that, makes things clear and less conflict ridden?
Well, the biggest one that comes to mind, and the one that I hear about the most, is do you do the exchange Christmas Eve, late in the evening, or Christmas morning, early in the morning? And I have the answer for that because there is a clear answer. And, I'd love to say, oh, it's whatever works for each individual family. No, this one is clear. Do that exchange the evening before. And it can be late, like 9, 10 at night. Switch them from one house to the other because the one parent who has them on Christmas Eve can finish up theirs and then get them to the other parent's house at bedtime. But that way, they wake up at the home where they're going to be for the rest of the day. Otherwise, if you say, well, let's do an 8 o'clock in the morning exchange, they are still opening gifts, playing with new toys, and all of that at 8 o'clock in the morning on Christmas morning. So now they have to leave everything behind, get dressed, hurry up and eat. We've got to get over to your other parent's house. They get there, and like I was talking about earlier, that parent and that parent's extended family have been waiting and they're ready to open gifts or they're ready to eat and you just ate. That type of thing. It's never going to work out well when you try to exchange the morning of the holiday.
Mm.
So arrange things so that you're doing it the night before. And parents have such great intentions because, like I said, I've had parents who have said, I'll bring them at 7. Well, good
Mm.
luck getting kids up and dressed and ready to go and to the other parent's house by 7 or even 8 or 9. And then what happens is you end up getting there at 10. And now one parent feels like the other parent got both. And
Yeah.
so, both Christmas Eve and Christmas morning. And so don't try to do that. That's the same as splitting the day, and it just doesn't work. So have a plan, but also the next part of that is be flexible because things aren't going to happen according to plan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What about when we have blended families? Like, any special thoughts on that? Because, man, that's even more
Yes.
complicated.
Yeah, I do have a suggestion on that. Parents in blended situations try to almost create this new family, and your kids might not see them as family yet. You do because that's your new life, but they may not want to spend all of their time with these new step siblings. And so ask your kids, let them have some input. Now, if you're not going to be able to accommodate what they want, then there's no use asking. But make it a priority to arrange things in a way that is what the kids want because they often have, and they'll often be consistent between real siblings
Mhm.
as to what they want. But they usually do have very strong feelings about, yeah, I want to be with them. That's my new brother or sister. Or, no, they're not quite family yet. And they might not be able to articulate that like I just did.
Right.
They're kids, but they can tell you in their own way, in their own verbiage, how they feel about that. And yeah, I want to spend it with them, or no, I don't. Now, I think we have to be careful and be clear with kids that my new spouse or significant other is going to be here. They're not going to be able to control that. But if they want to open their gifts without these other siblings there, let them do that.
What about birthdays? Like, what are your tips
Mhm.
on birthday? Like, especially, well, 2 things. First of all, why is it that every parent is so hung up on the kid being with him or her during the adult's birthday? Like, come
Right.
on, why? Like, that'd be the first question, and the second is, what about the kid's birthday? Like, what do you
Yes.
suggest on those 2 points?
Well, again, don't try to split the day because it's not going to work. And a lot of kids are still going to school on their birthday. And so by the time they get out of school, and now you're going to try to divide 5 hours time so you can each celebrate with them on their birthday.
Mhm.
They don't have a good celebration with either one when you do that. So just accept that one year you're going to have them and the next year you're not. And same with the other parent. Put yourself in their shoes and think, it hurts this year, but he or she is going to hurt like this next year, or they hurt like this last year. And don't try to split it. Also, once again, your kids do not care if you celebrate on that day. Most kids, if they have a birthday during the week, which, 5 out of 7 years they will,
Right.
then their party is not going to be on their birthday anyway. It's the Saturday before, or the Saturday after, or Sunday after. And so they don't care. And so let one parent, whoever has them or whoever's year it is, have them on that day. And then you have your celebration on Saturday. They will not care. The
No,
kids
they'll be
will not.
glad.
Yeah.
What do you think about joint birthday parties?
If they can get along and be civil, that's wonderful. I would say this is a recommendation I make to parents is for 1 year, do one of everything separately. Have one Thanksgiving separate, one Easter separate, one 4th of July separate. Because if you continue to do them together right off the bat, the kids don't have the opportunity to grieve because they don't think you're really going to separate. Well, they're kind of separated, but we still do holidays together.
Mhm.
And they'll hold on to that hope that you're going to get back together, that you're just kind of separated for now. To allow them to grieve, you have to make it clear that you really are divorced. And so I would do one of every holiday separately. And then if you want to come back together and do it together and you can do so civilly, I'm all for it. But you've got to let them make that break first so that they can properly grieve.